Hello, I'm Pastor Dave, and this is your Monday morning sermon recap for Monday, August 16th, 2021. Here we go. This week we heard of King David bringing the ark into Jerusalem and dancing before the ark as they entered the city. Now, Michal, Saul's daughter, was less than pleased with David's actions. From this, we can see something we know all too well, and that is everyone worships God different. Sure, maybe it was a thing that he was the king and shouldn't have been acting that way, but everyone responds differently on how we worship God. And this does tell us something about human nature, but also reminds us of something we know all too well that's a little bit more disturbing. And that is that many people can think their way is the only correct way. Michal had issue with how David danced before the ark. David didn't think there was an issue. And this is something that we've seen in our own experience in worship, especially in the last 30, 40 years when we were in the midst of a worship war within Protestantism, primarily over music and liturgy, of all things. But really, when we look at a lot of these things, it's about preference more than anything else. And every person has a different preference that really, as long as we're within acceptable bounds, should be okay. And we see this with David. Because David is pointing out something very important for us and really all people, and that is, it is acceptable to celebrate one's faith. David was celebrating God, celebrating bringing the ark into the city. And we kind of carry that on because many of the special holidays in the church or the high holy days are supposed to be feasts. And I'm not sure about anyone else, but when I hear feast, I think celebration. And that comes about when we keep God as the focus of our worship. Because if we're focused on God, we can see that there should be a freedom in worshiping God. Because when we look in Scripture, we see that there's no set requirements for worship except the attitude we have. An attitude focused on God, which is really a higher purpose of worship. And if that's where we're focused, we're free to make a lot of other choices on the details. And this is important for us because we need to be able to connect to God in worship, because it is by connecting to God via worship we can draw closer to God. That's when we have meaningful worship. We can discern answers. We can find peace within our faith. And that's what really happens when on Sunday mornings and even some Monday mornings, we're focused on God. So that's your recap for this week. Remember that we worship at 8:45 Sunday mornings at East Salem, 10:15 at Otterbein. We live stream that East Salem service on the East Salem UMC Facebook page. But until next Sunday, I'm Pastor Dave, and I hope to see you in the pews.